So people are selling AI agents, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to get into the specifics of every single type of agency, but in short, we'll go through the difference between freelancing versus agency and which one you should actually start with. So at the start, you've got two lanes. You can go solo and freelance, keep it lean, fast, and personal, or you can build an agency, which is scaling with systems, people, and margin. Both paths can make you rich, of course, but don't get it twisted. They're built for very different kinds of players. Freelancing is you versus the world, direct contact, full control, and pure craft. Agency is a team sport, delegation, infrastructure, and you build the machine. One isn't better, just different games, different rules, and different stakes. Pick the one that fits how you are wired. Now, if you're just a beginner, well, there's a couple notions around agencies. One of the first ones is that you can hire people who are really good at a skill, and then you can get clients and then outsource the work to that person. I've never, ever seen that work, because why wouldn't the person with the skill just go and get the client in the first place? Like, if you don't have any skills, opening up an agency isn't really going to be your best bet, because you are trying to team up with people and become a company owner and own a whole group of people before you even know the skills itself. Again, I really do recommend starting as lean and as small as possible. That is the freelancing route. Now, if you have already been doing freelancing, or you already have some sort of skill that you know you can sell and you know you can scale it big, and the offer is already there, the demand is already there, then maybe an agency is something that you can look into. But what I see as far more of a gradual process that makes a lot more sense is just starting with freelancing, and then not even just transitioning to an agency, but just outsourcing little by little by little. Now, I'm going to go over that a little bit more as we go on. And I also have live recording coming up of me talking about what that process actually looks like, going from, 10K per month freelancer to 30K per month business owner by only making a few small tweaks. And we're going to get into that as we go on. So here's the freelancing advantage. Freelancing is nearly always the smarter starting point for one simple reason. You need to master the craft before you can effectively manage others doing it. This creates several powerful advantages. So, for example, 100% profit. I already told you, the difference between profit and revenue is a lot of people flex their profit. With freelancing, you keep literally everything. No staff, no payroll, no bloat. Every dollar earned is yours. Next is direct learning experience. You are in the trenches. You hear objections, you close deals, tweak offers, and everything else, all firsthand. Next is client relationships. You're not a project manager behind the curtain. You're the face, the trust, and the reason that they buy in the first place. Next is low overhead, means low risk. So no office, no team, no tools you don't need. And you start lean, you stay nimble, and you scale on your own terms. I can't tell you how important that is, because look, I love working with other people. I have a team of over a dozen people working for me. But man, sometimes the solopreneur life looks intriguing. I'll put it that way. And I do kind of miss it sometimes, because it's literally just you versus you. And then you have some other clients. And it's a shame when you and someone else who's totally intelligent and is a good person as well don't see eye to eye on certain things. You have to, negotiate on terms and things. And then also, not to mention the people you are going to be working with that just aren't the best in general. And the next is simplified operations. There's no bottlenecks. You move fast, fix problems, and ship results without waiting on anyone. It is a very nice place to be. But now let's talk about building an agency like in SMMA, and how it sounds glamorous, but it's usually far from it. I've done this as well before. I have outsourced and built a little agency as well with my copywriting and marketing. And this is more or less what I learned. So you hire experts, you connect them with clients, and then you don't even have to learn the skill, because it's just genius. You just get somebody else who's really good at the skill. You don't have to learn anything, and you just make money by being the middleman. Well, in reality, you have to deal with reduced profit margins. So you're paying a team before you pay yourself. And the more you scale, the thinner that margin gets. So now you're only actually taking home 20%, 30%. Then there's time-consuming management. Every fire lands on your desk. Every delay, mistake, or missed call is your problem now. So now when you have a client and the client says something like, hey, this deliverable is just not very good for these 3 reasons, and you didn't even make the deliverable, you're still on the hook for that. You're still on the hook for everything. Next is cash flow complexity. So you're juggling invoices, team payroll, and project delays. One slow payment ruins everything. Man, I can't tell you how long payroll takes. Payroll takes like 3 to 4 days. I have limits on all my cards and all my things. Everybody wants to be paid in a different way because they're all from different countries. Everyone's remote. Some people need to be paid in crypto. Some people need to pay on Wise, on Stripe, on Payoneer. It's extra complexity. I'll just put it that way. So here's the smart progression. that I was mentioning earlier. Freelancer to agency owner. The most successful agency owners typically follow this progression. One, they start as a freelancer and master the craft, or just have some sort of skill that they know that they can sell on demand and at scale. Next is they begin creating documented systems and processes. This is things like SOPs, so that anyone who can come into your business and just follow the instructions and just do exactly what you do. Next is to hire your first contractor for overflow work. There's a different process for hiring out the first things on your calendar, the first things that you do. Again, that's going to be in the live that I'm going to put on a little bit later. But sometimes you want to hire out different contractors to do the fulfillment work, but sometimes it could be as simple as just hiring very, very cheap VAs. You want somebody for like $5 to $10 per hour that can do some very menial tasks for you, like outreach, for example, then that can be done. Next is to gradually transition from a doer to a manager as systems prove effective. And then you want to build a team around proven processes and establish client relationships. Now, this staged approach allows you to build an agency on a foundation of real expertise and validated systems rather than trying to manage services you don't even fully understand yourself. Man, I'll just leave it at this. Don't be that guy. You think you have imposter syndrome now? Wait until you're out here trying to sell people this huge result and you have other people who are working for you that are just way smarter than you when it comes to delivering, and you're trying to build an agency that way, or even just trying to build an agency from scratch with other beginners. You guys are going to be trying to split profits. I mean, it's just not very good looking. There's this gentleman who has a YouTube channel, and he's in the SMMA space himself. He was talking about like a lot of people show their Stripe screenshots, right, of how much money they made. And he has many Stripe screenshots of like 600K in a month. But first of all, he's splitting that with his business partner. So they're splitting 50-50 already. And then there's tons more overhead after that. So the numbers, I'll just leave it at this. The numbers are very, very often deceiving. And I'm not gonna lie, it's partly their fault as well, because it's like, if you don't educate yourself on even what revenue is and the difference between what it is with profit and someone's actual numbers down to a T, then, I mean, you're kind of just playing yourself at that point. And here's the hybrid approach when you actually start your agency and when you want to go about the whole process. Many successful service providers eventually adopt a hybrid model that combines the best aspects of both approaches. So this can mean something as small as hiring a $10 an hour VA to do a lot of the busy work for you once you're at 10 to 20K per month. And this approach preserves much of the profit advantage of freelancing while incorporating elements of scale from the agency model. Man, it's almost like I'm like pre-moving these slides right here. If you know anything about chess, it's like I know exactly what I'm going to say before I say it. Maybe it's because I made these. I don't know. Here are some skills that you can start with. Here's the exact business model breakdown. You have things like remote sales, which is learning sales. You have copywriting, which is the introduction to marketing. You have appointment setting, or SDR, which is sales development rep. In short, you are messaging and contacting leads to get them booked on calendars, to get them on calls, and you are also following up with old leads that didn't actually close if the sales cycle has become extended. I'm going to get into all the nitty gritty to that as we go on. Then you have funnel building, which is essentially just building out the systems for businesses. So if businesses are running an ad, someone is going to be behind the tech for all of that, the marketing plan for all of that, price points for all of that, et cetera, et cetera. Next is brand marketing. So this is kind of things like social media content creation. Next is content editing / clipping. So that's another skill that you can sell to people. Next is media buying. All that means is running ads, and you're the person behind the ads. So you look at things like what's the cost per acquisition, what's the cost per lead, what's the average order value, et cetera, and then you optimize based on all of those numbers. Next is monetizing a personal brand, which is, you actually building a business from scratch. And there's way more. There's lots more. We're going to scratch the surface on some of these and then also go deep on some other ones. So here's the thing. When I say this isn't just about making your first 1K, I actually mean it. I'm thinking about how you're going to make your first $100,000 and who you will become in the process. The right call gives you speed now and leverage later. It builds income and identity, skill and status. And getting paid isn't the main goal here. There's a greater goal in building something that actually scales with you. So here is the real path to wealth. You want to master a skill first and then build an empire. So with a lot of these, for example, like funnel building, brand marketing, content editing, media buying, monetization of your personal brand, and even the other route that we didn't really talk about too much, which is e-commerce, all of these you're going to have to learn and know what. You're going to have to learn how to sell and know how to sell and know how to sell things, and you're going to know how to sell things at mass, which is essentially just marketing. So if you're going to need to know these two skills in order to do anything, you might as well learn them first, make money with them first, and then the world is your oyster. Now you have the skills to pay the bills. Now you have the funds in the first place. Now you have that safety net. So once you have all of those things, that's when it's time to really start taking risks and really start going hard. And it's honestly very funny how predictable these conversations have become and will become for you as well. Hey, Tyson, how to get rich? I always give them the same answer. Learn a skill and go from there. And without fail, they immediately try to